Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode of the What Topic podcast with your host, Josh Deakin at Miss Josh Deakin.
And your co-host, Owen Bucket at Owen.Bucket.
And I'll say we've been gone now for nearly 3.5 weeks, if I'm
Nearly
right.
3 weeks. Yeah, it did make me think about like should we get back to the swing of things? Because, like I said, as we keep saying, we've been in lockdown, and it's a bit difficult to come up with any news topics that's going on. And besides the fact that people are getting vaccinated, we're still dealing with a pandemic, and that's it. Really,
It's a weird time to be alive at the minute, and
a little bit, yeah.
I think in a way we kind of just got a bit like carried away with having time away from the podcast, because like we have a sort of almost like a structurally weekly recording that would normally ever be on a Friday or a Saturday. Today we're actually recording it on a Wednesday, and this might actually come out on Friday, so this might be available to you guys on the 12th of February. But yeah, I mean, it's time's flown by. There's three plus weeks of doing stuff. I mean, I've been trying to get back into some like sort of normality of shooting through virtual shooting using an app called Clos, CLOS. For those of you who follow us, you'll know that like me and Owen have like spoke about stuff like this in our story. Like you've mentioned like the idea of doing shoots with people as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, it's only because that obviously I got a new phone, and soon I'll be having new lenses and filters and such, that I kind of want to get into, instead of just shooting landscapes, then I want to at least, try my hand on editing with using Lightroom and such and such. So I just thought if anyone will be open to it, once it's safe to go out and everything, then hopefully that would be more encouraging for me to get more creative. So,
yeah, definitely. I'd say it's really good to just kind of like get a bit closer to doing the real thing again. Like some of the people I shot with recently on my account, like obviously I've shot with like, I wouldn't say like playing it easy, safe kind of people, like people that I shoot with regularly anyway. But I think that like because I've been like just taking it easy, not like rushing it, like I ain't getting fatigued by it as much, which is nice, because some of the stuff that I've been doing, like I mean, I've got a shoot as of this recording in the evening. I'm posting a Valentine's set, sort of like Valentine's in Fear set with my one of my great model friends, Steph. I'd say if you guys know us on Instagram, obviously we said our Instagram names at the start. You'll have seen my work on there before. I'd say most of our listeners might be from our accounts anyway, and not always recurring new users. But I mean, for those who have never like come across those before, like check out our accounts for a bit more updated information on what we're talking about. But yeah, I'll say she did something pretty interesting that I've never seen someone do before. She did red lipstick, but used her lipstick to do a bit of her eyeliner, which was really weird.
Okay.
And I didn't think that like that was something that you should be. I mean, I would have thought like there's some like toxic stuff in like lipstick.
No, I mean nowadays like makeup is usually pretty harmless.
It's vegan most of the time, isn't it? As well.
Yeah, it's more sort of vegan, cruelty free like sort of products. The more
I would imagine getting it directly in your eye would hurt as well, though. Still, like just put lipstick over my eye retina.
Well, I mean, depending how close of the lipstick you want, how it looks, but I don't know.
But the brilliant bit was that like the way she incorporated it, like she did like so she went for like a sort of a coral reddish bra and a denim jacket, and then also the inclusion of her hair just being done up in a certain way. It was honestly like really good fun.
Okay.
Like I would have loved to have done it in person, but obviously pandemic, can't do that.
Yeah.
But honestly, like it opened my eyes again. It did, like, because honestly, like I've been going through that sort of weird phase in the last few weeks that like I just can't enjoy editing photos or doing new stuff because
you don't have that creative spark. Yeah, like you just it's really hard. Like you said, like we were so used to how things were, before the pandemic happened, and that's how we got very enthusiastic about certain things. And because we don't have that, or even have the luxury of meeting up with people or having the group shoots that we used to have, then it's hard to kind of get inspired by that. And I guess the only way we can do that is to kind of just push ourselves a little bit slowly, and but just trying to find something to keep ourselves busy, and it's
Mm.
so difficult. Like I said, I mean, I was supposed to be writing up a script that I was supposed to do another draft of it, but again, I just haven't found the sort of inspiration or anything like that to get into it. But what I'm now trying to do is trying to watch something that would be motivational to get me into it, at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. I'll say it's just one of those things at the minute. Like just working with what you've got and like just enjoying what you can. I mean, it would be nice. It would be nice to just go outside and shoot a bit more regularly now. But like, it's just like I think once things get a bit more easier again. I mean, obviously we have had like good news with the vaccine in the UK. For those who don't know, our vaccine program in the UK is now past 10 million first jabs, which is great. I'm imagining by now the second lot of jabs are already being estimated at the minute because it's been nearly. I think it's meant to be up to 12 weeks. I think, isn't it?
What, to take the second jab?
Yeah.
It's depending what you get. If it's the Pfizer vaccine, then I think it's about 21 days, and if it's the
Mm.
Moderna vaccine, then it's about 19 to 20 days,
And then you got the
roughly.
Oxford
The recent
AstraZeneca.
one, although that they're reconsidering about the Oxford because of the South African variant that's being brought up, so
Oh
they
no,
have
they
to.
have put it on pause in South Africa and in Brazil as well, I believe.
Yeah. So.
There's talks that like
Yeah.
it's going to be a bit more weaker, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, right now the Pfizer and the Moderna is still the two recommended vaccines that everyone should go for. I mean, my mum's had the Moderna vaccine. She would have preferred the Pfizer, but that's the one she got. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I say my two friends who work in the NHS, like that one works in like testing COVID and like STDs, yeah, STIs, that's it, and other things like that. Um, and the other one works within like part A&E, but like not A&E as such. Like she's like a floating like agency worker for the NHS. But
right.
essentially, they both had to have the vaccine, obviously. So they both had it within about a month of each other. So they were like, as the government promised, were one of the first sets of people to get it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So she obviously she's gonna have the second jab when she can get it.
I don't know
Uh,
whether they had which one they had though. I believe at the time, my one friend who had it first had the Pfizer one because that was the one that was available at the start of January.
yeah.
At
Yeah.
least, I think even she might have even had it in December. Actually, I think she might have had it before anyone else, before most people
I
did.
know the Pfizer was one of was like the first one that came
Because
out, and then the Moderna.
I keep getting confused. Like I'm sure you're feeling the same way. Like you get confused that you think that it started in January, but it actually started in December, didn't it? All the vaccines.
That's when they started bringing it out. Yeah.
So by now, like that number of people that will have had that second jab and will be well. We hope to. I mean, obviously, the medical people know more of this than we do. But like, obviously, that's like the sort of, as I say, quotation marks, full immunity from COVID. But like, obviously, the first one gives you lesser effects if you do get COVID. But then obviously, the second one's supposed to be like that magic bullet, essentially. I think.
Yeah, I mean, as I said previously, they're probably looking to for everyone to be vaccinated at least by September. That's if things, obviously go ahead and run smoothly and everything. But yeah, hopefully by the summer, everyone would have been, mostly vaccinated.
I mean, 10
Um,
million plus now, and like, I'm just thinking like, how does this happen that like the test and trace in the UK was so shabby compared to like this vaccine rollout. Like obviously I know the vaccine is
well,
important, but like
yeah.
you'd have thought that like to get at least some recognition and also get the deaths down in our country, it'd been helpful to have had both been a success. But obviously, test and
Yeah,
trace was not a well-beaten system at all by any stretch of the imagination.
no, not at all. It's just the fact that people that they have to tell you like you have to get the app and then you have to make sure that your Bluetooth was on and all of that. And I can understand why, because even I got kind of put off from going out because the fact that you have to make sure you scan the barcode and everything. And and I knew a few friends of mine. It's not like they were doing it on purpose. Like they just said, "Well, I just never did that." And
I mean, I mean, before lockdown happened again, and like we was in tier 3 in December. Like I had to go up to Leicester for some to go and help a friend with something, and technically you weren't really meant to be going further away from tier 3. But then again, Leicester was tier 3 at the same time as me, so it was like, okay, well, I'm not moving from I'm only moving from the same tier to the same tier, so it's like not that bad, and I'm obviously keeping myself for myself, and I weren't going on a train or anything like that. I was actually in a car, so like, I was with the friend, my friend going up to another friend, isolated, so like was only interacting with one friend. So we was out of the system, as you could say. So when we went up to Leicester though, just making sure that like we're just getting some food, like was on the way around. So obviously we did technically do an interaction of going to get some food. So we went to get Jollibee in Leicester. Like for those who don't know, Jollibee's like it's from God, trying to get the Philippines. That's it. I couldn't remember the country name for a second. From the Philippines, it's like inspired food there. Like they got like really nice infused chicken. Oh my god, it's like if you've never heard of Jollibee, look it up. Honestly, there's quite a few.
I remember wasn't it you and Lydia that really hyped it up?
Honestly, mate, it's like such an orgasm of food. It's brilliant. But yeah, obviously that's not the point I was making.
No.
Like we went to get food there. Obviously, they wanted us to scan the test and trace app, and I was like, oh, should I be doing this? Considering I'm not in my region right now. And I was like, okay, I scanned it anyway, and it was fine. Nothing happened after that. But like, if I was to go out now and go to somewhere like Tim Hortons in Birmingham and like scanned it there, would they know would it be digitally like signed? Like, there's no like kind of like way of them knowing I've been there. Like they know I checked in there, but they don't know my name. It's just my
Well, the whole point of the obviously everyone will know this, but obviously the whole point of the track and trace them. So if in case if you did get tested positive for coronavirus, then they would let the places know that where they would track back to where it potentially could have got it or anything like that. So, but yeah, it's kind of why it was a bit of a 50-50 situation, but I can understand why the vaccine is doing much more better because we need people to get vaccinated.
It's a shame that we didn't marry the two up because, like, I mean, you might have saw it, that video from people's Momentum, was it Momentum? Or Mementos a few weeks ago that basically like said like imagine if we'd actually gone into lockdown like in like say end of February, and then like we'd have had like a great test and trace system and everything else that fell in line, like our country wouldn't have had 100,000 deaths by now.
No, like I said, like I love how people get so defensive with how the Conservatives and even Boris Johnson has been responding to the pandemic, and I just go, yeah, all right then. Look at what Jacinda Ardern. I know she's a really easy example to use, but it's an easy example to use for a reason because she, did exactly what any world leader should have done, and taking it seriously, put harsher lockdown rules or restrictions. And I remember one of the political, I can't remember if it the exact details, but someone from the New Zealand government, he did a trip to the South Island, and obviously the capital was in Wellington in North Island, so he went all the way down to the South Island, and when people got wind of it, he got demoted.
Ooh.
Like he was like, yeah, I'm really sorry, like I should have done that. I'm like, well, no shit, Sherlock.
And then you look at like our country and like they're just getting like a slap on the wrist and that's it.
Well, that wasn't it like Dominic Cummings who did that car trip.
So that video that I said from people's Momentum, I think that's what they're named. They said that like if when Dominic Cummings was found out for what he did, but Boris Johnson didn't let him go over it and he fired him there on the spot. Imagine if he did that in actual life, like he'd have got so much more people on his side.
If it was anyone else that outside the government, they would have got fined and everything else.
Made an example of.
The fact that they're keeping bars open and restaurants for all these politicians, and yet we're the ones we have to suffer.
Mm.
But actually, something good news out of that whole situation. I know you probably found out about this. There was a lot of petitions that Tyler and I have signed up for, and they are considering to open gyms
Yes, yes.
open during lockdown because obviously working out is, vital for people's mental health.
Yeah, and
Um,
also that the gym owner that got really big last year, Nick Campillo, I think his name is.
yeah,
Obviously, he's been campaigning recently again to also like do something similar to like the Eat Out to Help Out program, work out to help out. So like you get like a discount to go to the gym, basically you'd be paid basically like half of it the price per month to go to the gym to make it more
yeah.
feasible and more direct to you. And
Hmm.
because honestly, I think that'd be a great idea because like gyms are not cheap. Let's be honest.
No,
And
not at all.
and like I mean, there was a comment in the comment section on that petition, thing saying like gyms aren't as important as other sectors. I'm like, yes, it is because for starters, gyms actually promote healthy living. And if you're able to go and work out in that gym, you're not going to cause many problems as opposed to somewhere like the supermarket. If you look at the scale of like percentage of where like COVID was catched, people have catched COVID at like the top scale of the scale, which is supermarkets, primary schools, colleges, universities. They're all in like the 15 to 20% of adoption rate of COVID. Whereas if you look at like something like the gym, and even hospitality is actually just below the gym. The gym
Well,
is
that's
at zero point
because
zero two zero. Is it 0.020
right.
percent? That's mad, right?
Well, the only reason I could probably think of is because obviously they're only doing takeaways. So obviously you just literally just go in, go out, and that's it. Like you're
Oh
not
no,
really
I
around.
believe this. I believe that the last time this was recorded was November, but the statistics were from October and September when we were still able to go out.
Oh, okay, right, gotcha. But even still, like that's still the same principle. People don't really hang around
No, no, no.
to, to get their food or whatever. They just go in and get out, and that's it. And obviously, with shopping, like for food and everything,
You
like
spend more time
you
inside,
spend
yeah.
more time inside, exactly.
And I
And
guess the reason why gyms haven't been like up there with like somewhere like supermarkets or primary schools is because they're spread out. Gyms aren't meant to be claustrophobic; they're meant to be open, wide
well, I
environments.
think the problem is, say, like, I know this is probably not even close to a comparison to our situation, to this country's situation, but in America, obviously, with gyms, I think the problem is, they just allow as many people they can fit in, whereas they should only have a certain amount that you can come in. And they're like saying and I think that the thing about it is that so obviously you have to wear a mask, and if you do use water bottles, bring your own, and etc. And basically the same thing as you would go to anywhere else. But I think it's probably going to be a bit tough because obviously it's usually is spread out, I think, because I usually go in the evenings or early mornings, and there was never a situation where I think social
You'd be too
distancing would have been
close
an
to
issue.
people, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's also like it reminds me of like the situation that London had when they went into tier four. Like there were people literally scramming to train stations to try and get out for Christmas because like they was like, yeah, I'm not going to spend Christmas in tier four in London. But then obviously everywhere went into tier four after Christmas, so it was short lived, obviously. But for those people, like they were literally cramming onto trains, and the train operators were basically saying like, this train is basically packed to the brim. If you want to get on, get on. If you don't, get off now. Like they were giving them
yeah,
like an option there and then. Like that's like an extreme example of like claustrophobic space. Obviously, like because trains have notoriously been throughout the lockdowns and most of the last year in 2020 completely empty. Like they were mostly
mhm,
being funded up
yeah.
until I think June or July by the government. Like they weren't actually making a profit.
No, exactly. And it's really tough though because obviously you need to try at least find ways to get around everything. But obviously, using public transport is one of the few things that you could transmit the diseases, and it's probably why that someone like me that's trying to get back to work in the film and TV industry, they always ask, are you taking public transport or are you driving? And I guess I'm pretty lucky with obviously I got filming on Friday that my sister is willing to take me to the hotel I'll be staying, and then she will be able to pick me up. So getting there and back is not an issue. I mean, it wasn't never an issue before the pandemic happened. What I normally do is I just travel up the day before, stay in a hostel or somewhere close by, and then just do it that way. And so yeah, it's tough to, obviously, with the public transport, like you said, it's been funded by the government, but if nobody is paying the tickets or fares, then it's kind of like, how are they going to keep up with maintaining all these trains and buses and so on and so forth?
I mean, a good example of like how much time has passed since we were able to go like out and just go like anywhere we wanted to in the.
Oh God, the last time I did that
is the fact in Birmingham. I had to go into Birmingham on Saturday last week, and essentially the whole of the top section of like Broad Street in Birmingham. For those who don't know, that's like the main street that like comes from like up the top side direction if you're going out towards like other city directions. It's like a big open passage which a lot of people come down, but like the roads have now been closed off because the metro's coming down there now. And like it was crazy because right outside where the Cineworld is there, they've completely built up one of the the two platforms for where like the metro stop is going to stop at like one of the stops coming along there. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like they've done all that. And like I was like, oh yeah, of course they've done that in like nearly 2 months now. Like they've had 2 months where nobody has been in their way, and they've literally just been ploughing on. So like you can kind of say that, like, I mean, the transport secretary said this last year, that like a lot of construction work has gone ahead and been finished quicker than it would have normally been because people are
right, because they're staying at home, or at the very least, like, it's not disrupting anyone's journeys, so it's not really a particular issue. So
there is an upside to some of this stuff. Like obviously it's not an upside that you're gonna
obviously after this all blows over, it's gonna go back to the way it was before. So it's just like, oh bloody hell, like Southern Railway services are late again and blah 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 and all that. But no, it's
just the way it is, I think.
but yeah. So, anyways, you got something to bring up with like something technology based, haven't you?
Yes, I think we'll go very quickly to a break because I'm going to quit loo break. For those who know, obviously, when you're doing a podcast, you do have to stop for loo breaks. This time, I've been very unfortunate, and I need to go now. So, yeah, we're going to be back after this short break.
Cool. All right. And we're back on this week's episode of What Topic Podcast. So we talk about the whole update with the pandemic, and so with our situation here in the UK. Now we're going to get on a bit of lighter news. So we're going to talk about with some tech, movie, and just fun news for now on. Definitely. So what is the first one up on this round?
Yeah, so first one is it's been detected in the new iOS 14.5 update that you'll soon be able to change your default music service on iOS. So currently, if you try and open like music stuff, like it has to be out of the music app, which has obviously got Apple Music in it as well, which gives Apple a bit of an unfair advantage over apps, I guess. But what is basically going to be the case now is when you want to like open audio in an app, it'll let you open it in another app. So like that could be like a Spotify, or it could be Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Pocket Casts, Overcast, any of your favorite apps. So the idea is then that it's no longer just going to be default email and browser apps now. Like you're going to be able to like just choose what you listen to on. So like if you go to Siri, can I listen to this song on this? Can I listen to this song from this artist? And it'll go, which one do you want to use? Or you can set a default.
Okay, fair enough.
So you don't even have to think about, like, you know, like when you speak to like your Google Home or your Alexa, like you don't even have to think about what service because you've set a default service with the device when you set it up.
Yeah.
So literally you can just go, just play Knee Socks by Arctic Monkeys, and it'll like playing it on Spotify. I'm like, right now you can do with Siri allows you to play a song with Spotify if you go, you say the words "huh" and Siri. I'm not going to say it, so I don't set mine off. Or oh, okay, it still thought I was talking to it. Still set it off, and then you just say play this song on Spotify, and it'll go play this song on Spotify, and it'll open the app for you. So
that's cool. I mean, so when is that? When are they aiming to release that?
Normally things that are in beta from Apple, so like this is the next dot update on, so we're on 14.4 that got released 2 weeks ago, because there was a vulnerability in like some other software patches that had to be patched, but the normal sort of like time scale for these updates is normally within I think 3 to 5 weeks normally, so we could expect this by end of February, start of March maybe. So that's a good thing to hear. It's a good thing to hear.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like we've got nothing, we've got nothing waiting for it. So I guess a new update for a phone is, I guess, the best thing that we could look forward to.
Definitely. I'd say the next tech update we've got here for you is a bit more controversial, but I think it'll make a bit more sense when we start talking about it. So Instagram will now limit the reach of reposts from TikTok within its Reels clone. So they basically put out on Instagram on their creators Instagram account. It was 21 hours ago, and it basically says new best alert. We're making improvements to how we recommend Reels in places like the Reels tab to have the best shot at being discovered. Follow the best practices on this thing here. So like. They've displayed out like little things, but like one of the things that caught people's attention obviously was the fact that it said in something in the bad stuff. So I'll read out the good stuff, like obviously to for fair and balance. It says basically do post a reel that is entertaining and fun, so i.e. delights people, grabs their attention, makes them laugh, or has a fun twist or surprise. So like we know like that kind of one, like so like the one that's like put your head on your shoulders, and then it's like it turns to the Street song by Doja Cat, and it's just someone like in red, like a red sort of neon background, and they're like, oh look at me, my figure looks amazing in the dark, kind of thing. That thing is something that's at least it gets you a few laughs and a bit fun. And obviously, and I showed you that one by Adam W. That literally like he's like got his friend on his phone. And he's like, "Oh, I'm joining her," and then it joins her, and
then you just hear like, "What's going on here?" It's like, "No, I'm on the call from my mum." So that's funny. Yeah.
Other ones on the air is like it's inspiring. So like starts a trend using the creative tools like text, filters, camera effects. So like that one did. Uses vertical video. So horizontal videos are typically not as easy to recreate, obviously. Uses music from the Instagram music library and or original audio you can create or find on Reels, so not using copyrighted content unless you use it through their music library. And also maybe if it's an experiment, trying something new, be yourself and see what works for you. Now, on to the stuff that is taboo on Reel. So I'll say, Owen, do you want to read out some of them at the top?
Oh God, I'm gonna have to bring it up.
I sent you this so he was ready for it.
I did. I know you said be ready for it, but I don't know. I guess but I got it. So
we apologise for this continuity error.
We apologise with Owen's negligence of.
Nah, we're joking.
Anyways, when it decides to load up, oh for God's sake. No, okay, got it now. Right, so this is the reasons that to don't post a reel. That one is blurry due to low resolution, which is fair enough because it's kind of like the same thing like when you're making a film. It's like if the visuals or the audio is absolute dog shit, then nobody's going to watch it.
No one's going to be interested.
No, not at all. Number two is visibly recycled from other apps, i.e. contains logos or watermarks. So that will probably mean that if it says on the bottom corner, it will probably say TikTok or another app or anything like that, which I would presume that will be the thing. Number three is uploaded with a border around it. So I'm not too sure why that probably is an issue with that. I mean,
I kind of understand why it could be, because a border kind of distracts from the content.
I guess so, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a thing. Like, I probably want to be against it, but that's just me. Number four, it has to has the majority of the image covered by text. So basically, if you're gonna create something and it's just covered by loads and loads and loads of texts, there's just no point creating something.
Because a
You
reel's
might as
supposed to be like a sort of short burst video,
it,
essentially,
it's
isn't it?
it's basically like what Vine did. Like you make 6 second videos
And TikTok.
and TikTok. Yeah. So, but that's the thing. So if you because you might as well have just put a story with a bunch of text and that way. But they also says at the bottom it says these types of reels won't be recommended as often to people who don't yet follow you in places like Reels tab, but will still be shown the way they always have been to your followers. For example, on your profile on feed, as long as they meet our community guidelines. So,
It's definitely a
I'm
crackdown, let's be honest.
it is a bit of crackdown, and the thing is that we kind of talked about this beforehand, and we're just going to extend it here. So, I'm personally not really against it. I think this is probably biased to my perspective because I don't use TikTok as
Yeah.
much. I just made one video because everyone else was just. This was during I think the first lockdown, and everyone went on TikTok because they were bored and they want something to do, which is understandable and it's like fair play to them. But for me, I just did not see anything that I it's trying to be inspired in a situation where it's really hard to be inspired, like we said earlier. And it's probably going to be really difficult to help get followers in different platforms. So if you're showing a TikTok video in Instagram, it's probably all well and good to know where to follow them. If you make it on, if you want them to find them on TikTok or something like that. But I think in some ways, as we spoke earlier, is that if you're not creating original content on this particular platform, then it's kind of like, what's the point?
It's always counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, and but then at the same time, I understand why people are a bit frustrated with that because obviously they want to extend. There's loads of platforms they can get creative with, but I also understand that if you're creating a video on Instagram, you might as well use Reels, for example, and you do something different on TikTok.
Yeah.
So
it's been a little bit more diverse with your content because for me it's like, okay, you want people to go to your TikTok. What's the worst way you could piss somebody off? By reposting your TikTok as a reel. It's basically a bit of a like, oh, you're gonna watch it on this instead of my actual TikTok. It's almost like they're trying to like make you angry, almost like annoyed. Like even if it's not it's more like an indirect kind of thing rather than a direct thing. It's still the same problem. And like I know that more creators that I follow have actually started to now make more videos within Reels, and I think the reason why that is because Instagram is actually putting like a lot of good they're pouring a lot more into Reels. Like I think Reels has got better in like the last 2-3 months alone. Like I think Reel got launched back in the summer, if I remember rightly, and it was only I think it was only in like India and another 2 markets, but then obviously they went global, and YouTubers like MKBHD did an interview with the guy that basically like heads up Reels, and like I think to be honest, Reels has become its own product on its own. Like obviously I know it's copying TikTok, but then again, hey, they've done it before with stories, and like stories is its own thing now. Like there's so much diversity and difference now.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. And it's like, Instagram stories is pretty much their version of Snapchat, essentially.
Yeah. It's the poster child for that.
And the thing is, like, that's another app I kind of got. I got old really. I mean, I did used to use it quite often, but then when Instagram brought it on, I kind of went, "Oh, there's no point using Snapchat anymore."
Yeah, Snapchat kind of lost what was its secret sauce for many years, and I think that like the reason why Instagram stories just works is because it's integrated, and I think that's where like Facebook knows that they can keep getting more people to come back to new features, even if they first hate them. Like, I think a good example of like products that have been hated for many years. Like, I watched a video earlier about the rise and the fall of like, say for example, MSN Messenger,
Right.
It kept getting better and better and better, but then it hit a brick wall of like, what can we do next? Like, what can we innovate with next? And then along came something like Skype and basically just trampled all over it. And then obviously, as we know, Microsoft bought Skype years ago as well. And like, if you really look at it, Instagram is, you know, something that wasn't a Facebook product at the start. It was owned by two completely different people out of the Facebook setup, and the same with WhatsApp as well. You know, if you can't beat them, buy them is sort of the method of Facebook in a way. Like, obviously, Reels was created by Instagram and Facebook, but it obviously was inspired very heavily by TikTok. So, like, it's a very different way of doing it. And obviously, Facebook have had a lot of failure projects for years. And obviously, there's, you know, regulations that also regulatory constraints that are going on at the minute. Like, obviously, people in the United States want to basically break companies apart. Like, you know, Instagram basically removed from Facebook. Like, they probably want like Google to like remove services like Gmail and stuff like that and make them separate services, or like YouTube again. I mean, honestly, it just like, it makes you think of just like how much these different platforms are ingrained in your daily life, and little things like this can pee people off. But honestly, I think on the whole, I think Instagram wants people to be original, and I don't think that's too much to ask for people to just not keep reposting the same old recycled shit. Sorry to use that word to be blunt, but the same recycled shit that I could go on TikTok and see. Like, I'm only one app away from. Like,
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and it's probably one of the reasons why I haven't really made any videos on TikTok. I mean, I could probably go back to TikTok and just create my own content, but I just think that I might as well just do that on my Instagram. And because what I see on TikTok is people just redoing the same the trending sort of videos that are going on, like you said, the over my shoulder sort of video, and then the one that was big last year was the dance sequence to
oh, I'm a savage.
No, it was actually the Weeknd's Blinding Lights song.
Oh yeah.
I saw that everywhere, and there was just numerous other ones that I kept seeing. And again, I'm not taking away people's fun or anything from it, but as me as a creative, I just find that a little bit, I wouldn't say disheartening, because it isn't. It's just frustrating because, you know, like you're not really separating yourself from anyone else. You're just jumping in, but just because it's popular.
Oh no, I get that. I think also something to be also bearing in mind is that the saturation of these different apps, and I think TikTok in general, like, you look at something like Vine, and obviously Vine was very popular for years, and obviously then it had its big drop off where they weren't paying creators, people were not inspired to make content on there as often, and there was a big purge where a lot of the Viners went to YouTube and now have made their success on YouTube. The same thing is happening again with TikTok in the last 2 years. People have been transitioning slowly away from using TikTok to YouTube, and actually I think a YouTuber put this pretty well, like in like so many words, to say that YouTube is like the dream kid. Like, you're always going to have YouTube around for creators to basically go, okay, maybe I should go to YouTube. I'll make a better job there. Like once I can transfer my audience from TikTok to YouTube, YouTube will be paying me money, CPM, for every video. And it probably is going to be I'm going to get brand deals from, like, you know, NordVPN or Surfshark, and you're just going to be off to the races. Like, you, like I say, like, look at the Vine stars that came out, like Logan Paul, and obviously, unfortunately, his brother Jake Paul. Obviously, they both came from Vine.
From Vine,
Look at them now. Like, Logan Paul is like one of the biggest creators on the platform now.
Yeah, they're earning millions, like, just making really stupid videos, but that's how they started. So, yeah,
you have to think that, like, if you're going to have that, like, progression where a platform is trying to be its own thing, TikTok should still stay its own thing, and same with Reels. Like, yes, Reels copied TikTok. That's not important anymore. No one cares about that. Like, if you say if I said to you, Owen, I can't believe they made Reels, it's so unfair, like, TikTok should be its own thing, and you'll just be like, it's business, deal with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking, and you know, but that's the thing is, like, it's not discouraging people to advertise. I got a TikTok, go there
Mm.
and follow me.
Oh yeah.
It's not saying that at all. But the thing is, it's like it's just basically saying if you're going to share your content, you might as well advertise saying I got a new video on TikTok, go there now, or something like those
Mm.
lines,
You
rather
could
than
say
just
in a way that like with Instagram stories when that first launched, people well, not Instagram stories, sorry, IGTV first launched, people were literally like repurposing content from YouTube instead of making original content.
yeah,
Like I think the future of that was actually like making the content applicable to the platform. Like there was a lot of big YouTubers. I don't know if they're still doing it, but like there's some big YouTubers like Good Mythical Morning, the YouTubers Red and Link. They repurposed a lot of their content, and what they just happened to do was in the vertical video form that they were creating, they were taking their YouTube videos, like little clips from their YouTube videos, and they were basically doing it so like it would basically like move the camera over to who was talking. So it basically like like tracking. So like it basically go, okay, Brett is talking now. Let's move the camera to him, so it'll move the vertical video from Link to Rhett. And
right,
instead of the video having to be all jarring and maybe like turn the phone to the side or something like that, they repurpose the content. They put the same content together, but to make it so it moves with the flow of who's talking, and it makes it less
right,
jarring. Then doesn't it? Like that's the way to do certain content, not just repurpose it and stick a watermark on it like TikTok's content. You know, like actually be
yeah.
original about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so yeah, I I'll be interested to see, what my friends will say about it.
Hmm.
Because I know a few friends that got quite a following on TikTok, and the fact that they won't be able to potentially not be able to share those TikTok videos to Instagram, so they're gonna have to advertise saying, I got a new video up, go over there now, and that will hopefully bring more followers to their TikTok and also, in Instagram. So therefore,
I mean, there's nothing saying it wasn't. It's still not. It's still okay to share it to your stories because like they're just 24 hours. Like there's an
yeah,
option. There's quite clearly an option in the share sheet when you go to TikTok and you share a video. Like there's the little stories plus icon with the color, the Instagram color logo and everything. So like they don't. Even TikTok doesn't care that you share it to your stories on Instagram. That's fine. But when you're doing it to Reels, like you're actually just downloading the video and then uploading it as its own new thing
right,
when it isn't a new
yeah.
thing. It's just a rehash essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think, as somebody is like, I mean, it's probably easier for me to say it, but even though, because, for me to create something original is fucking hard.
Oh no, it's
Um,
not. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. But
it's just I get a bit frustrated when, yeah, like you said, all they're doing is like just extending the same video from TikTok and then just re-uploading it on Reels, and it's just kind of like, really? Okay, all right.
it's just not. It's just not productive at all.
No, not at all.
And if you're expecting us to watch that reel and then go and check out your TikTok, then you've made two errors in one go, in my opinion.
I mean, that's the thing. That it's kind of like, well, do you want me to go to your TikTok or do you want to just stay on Instagram? Like,
It's lazy, isn't it?
I'd rather not do that. I'd rather you tell me to go on TikTok
Hmm.
than go either go both. And I'm just like, honestly, I don't really use TikTok, so I'm just gonna stay on Instagram. So
I
no.
mean, I might log into TikTok like once or twice a month, maybe, but like I don't really open the app that often.
I like I said, I just made one video. I probably followed a few people and deleted it quite soon after.
Fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, like, I obviously we're not, saying like that Instagrammers haven't gone and made like a good amount of followership on TikTok. Like we both know a friend named Melina who has actually got a big following on TikTok, not just on Instagram. Like she's got over 10K on Instagram, but she's got like nearly 250,000 followers on TikTok. I'm like, whoa, that's mad. That's absolute madness, isn't it?
But it's crazy, like, what makes it trendy, with doing those kind of videos that are trending, like the blinding lights dance routine, or the over my shoulder sort of videos, or even just on the women's side of things, like just showing on their lingerie or just their boudoir sort of reels, or even with men, like just just showing off basically.
I think one
I
of the best uses of reels is people doing their like outfit of the day, or even like how they customize like little differences in their outfit. Like they'll go like,
yeah.
here's look number one, here's look number two, look number three, and like they can do that in like 30 seconds. Like they only need
Yeah,
7 seconds per
I
one.
think it's cool. I think it's cool. Like if you want to show off like what you got or whatever, and if it makes you look even feel good and look good and everything, then by all means. But for me, I just like if you want to be creative, do something. Try to do something original. Like, I don't know, just
I mean,
anything.
I
But
did. You might have seen that I've done some videos like showing like little behind the scenes, little bits from like clips from like my shoots.
yeah,
Those
no,
do pretty well.
those are fine. Like I have nothing wrong with that because
Oh
it is
yeah, yeah.
might be original, but you just have to do your own stamp on something.
I
So
mean, if
yeah,
I go back and like look at my Instagram really quickly, if I look at my Instagram, my reels. So out of all, so I've done quite a few different reels now. So I did one from a shoot back in the summer that's got 254 views. Then the next one is from another shoot in London, 635, and then one that I shared on my story, 2,606. That was on my
right,
that was also on my profile, and then another one, 1,302. That's on my profile. A simple little, I think like 3 second clip, nearly 700 views, and then two other ones that I mean the last three that I've got like close to like 5, 6, or 700 or 800 views have been on my profile very briefly and then removed again. It's like even then they're doing fantastic. Like that just shows you that like there's good scope for it. And like for me, I quite like the fact that like I could just put a real quick behind the scenes clip together for somebody to look at, as opposed to doing a whole IGTV video, which like takes a lot longer.
yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah,
So yeah, I think in short, just do your own thing and not,
creative on
you
the
know,
platform. Stick to
yeah,
TikTok or stick to Reels. Don't do
yeah,
both at the same. Don't do both at the same time. Repurposing content. Make content original for both, or just
yeah,
one.
exactly, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'll say we're going to get on to the juicy stuff, the video and TV, video and TV, film and TV stuff.
Mm.
I'll say this is coming out just before the next episode of WandaVision, episode 6. So we're not going to like touch on this for too long because obviously we'll be a bit out of date by this time it comes out. But yeah, we're actually like really excited right now with WandaVision, aren't we?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, and the way that it's been going has been really interesting, and and I think that the fact that the 30-minute episodes, it's enough to keep people's interest. Like they're wanting more out of it instead of trying to stretch it out over an hour each hour long episode. And the fact that they're keeping it is it 8 episodes they're
I
making?
think there's supposed to be 9 episodes, but then there was you might have heard there was a rumor that like there was going to be a 10th episode that would make it like a week apart from the Winter Soldier
Right.
and from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, which
Yeah.
I wouldn't be hating on. Make it 10 episodes. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, like don't stretch it out longer than you need to.
No.
Um,
Like, I mean, obviously, spoilers for everyone who's like, obviously, last time we spoke in the podcast was episode 3. So obviously, episode 4 and 5 have happened since then. So
yeah.
yeah, it's been nearly 3 weeks by this Friday. So
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at that now, and there's 9 episodes.
yes.
So yeah, we only got 4 episodes left. So it's been interesting because obviously the first episode it started like in the 1950s.
It was based around
And
exactly what the show was like trying to portray.
yeah, and then the second episode was the 60s, and then the third episode was the 70s, and obviously the fourth episode was a storyline that happened currently with the
The
third
real
episode.
world. Yeah,
And yeah, and then we got the fifth episode set in the 80s, which things got really interesting.
so like we say, spoilers, but essentially, this is something that Wanda's created.
Yeah, it's like something that Wanda like as quote unquote recasted. So
Because
and
she's obviously like in this time period right now. They obviously like showed what's the name of the lady that like came back from the blip? What's her name?
oh god, yeah, I know you're talking about it. I
The
just
lady
had
in
it.
blue.
I just had it in my uh Uh, because I was going to say I saw it in the IDB credits, and she said Geraldine, but it's not Geraldine. It's Monica Rambeau.
That's it, Monica Rambeau. It's obviously she came back from the blip in a hospital.
Yeah, because obviously her mother, who was played by Lashana Lynch in Captain Marvel, she
Mm.
played the mother who was a friend of of Captain Marvel, and yeah, so the fact that she, spoilers for episode 4, but she came back, she was snapped out from Thanos's, figure snapping,
From
and
Endgame,
then
yeah.
and obviously she came back obviously when Hulk snapped people back into existence, and that was an interesting part because we didn't get to see that when obviously he did it,
We just saw
and
everyone just appear,
it was
essentially.
just a peer, yeah, exactly, and we was like, oh, okay, but it was
Hang on,
interesting
I'm
to
just thinking,
see.
you sure it was Hulk? I'm sure it was Iron Man.
Iron Man snapped. No, so Hulk did snap people back into existence, and and Tony Stark was the one who got rid of Thanos when he
Oh,
snapped.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
I get that bit confused because I've not watched any game since like ages ago now. I mean, I'm really pleased like with like where the storyline is going now because obviously now we're getting our very first appearance of Sword, which we haven't really
hmm.
seen yet, but we've heard of loads about, and obviously if
Well, they made the first appearance in the after end credits of Spider-Man Far From Home.
they did, yes.
And because I remember seeing it, and then I had to look over, like saying, what is Sword, and then it was
It's
kind of like
supposedly meant to be the new division,
it's like the news. It's like a more sci-fi version of Shield, essentially.
which is interesting because it for those who've been watching the Marvel Agents of Shield series, you'll know that Daisy Johnson's supposed to be coming back as part of Sword, and she's supposed to be like in deep space in like this future stuff. So like this might be part of a new show, or it might be a continuation of Marvel Agents of Shield. But now in the current phase of the MCU, Sword is
Mhm.
basically the new Shield essentially, and obviously in that episode, Rambo is basically like asked to go and check out this problem that's going down in Westview, but then the
Mm.
police officer doesn't know Westview exists for some reason.
Yeah, because they said, "Where are you guys from?" Eastview. So it's like a town that just mysteriously just appeared out of nowhere, and and we still don't know the why why it's out there.
We kind
Um,
of know why it's happened though, because obviously they showed us
they're
one.
sho
They
they're
go to
showing
the
bits and pieces as each episode goes along, so we're kind of trying to get a grasp on what is unraveling as it goes along. So, I mean, again, spoilers that if you've not seen it.
yeah.
So in was it episode 4 or 5 when they saw the CCTV footage of Wanda
Yeah, I think it was
going?
episode 4 because I remember like they looked back some of the CCTV footage
Oh yeah, yeah,
while they
yeah,
were
that's
building the
right.
base out there, and obviously the lady that was doing all the like the investigation along with what's his guy's name? He's the one who played.
Um, yeah, I know who you're talking
He's
about.
the guy who
It's
played Kim Jong Un in the interview movie. I
in the
think
the interview.
he's a lovely actor. I
Yeah.
love the guy.
It is Randall Park, that's right, and it's
Randall
Jimmy
Park, yeah.
and Jimmy Woo, that's it.
Jimmy Woo, that's his. Honestly, lovely, lovely actor. Honestly,
And
he's got a really
yes,
good smile as well, hasn't he? Like
he's
in a
good.
very
He was
serious
he was
face.
he was in he was in a really good Netflix comedy called "You Will Always Be My Maybe."
I can
Um,
watch that. That's good.
it's so good. But yeah, no. So it's interesting because obviously there's a bit where Wanda goes into the Sword headquarters and finds Vision's body being
Post
sort of
mortem, I guess.
I guess cut up because obviously he died from when Thanos took the mind gem, the mind stone from his head.
Obviously, he was dead
And
because that's the thing that powered him.
well, that was the thing. Like people said, like, why didn't Vision come back? He died before the snap.
He
So
did. He literally had it yanked out of his head, didn't he?
yeah, so anyone that died before the snap won't come back. Um, to as it were. So yeah, so it's kind of like obviously we had that quick glance of Vision in episode 3, if you remember when Wanda looks back to Vision,
Yes, and he's got yanked his face. He's
he's
completely
still got
grey.
this grey, clear eyes and everything, and that was kind of freaky.
Mm.
So it's kind of suggesting that she's been animating him from the dead. So
So
it's
she's
interesting.
basically created this landscape, and like this whole like so like I think people were like memeing it on Twitter saying like it reminded them of the Simpsons movie when there's in the dome.
Right? Yeah, yeah,
Makes sense, it
yeah.
does. But I like it
And
though because it's a very creative concept. Like obviously we know they're not copying the Simpsons, but like it's just something relatable. But like the design of the town obviously like was very like sort of like okay, this is very interesting. How is this happening? Like, and we was thinking for the
what's
first few ones,
interesting,
were they in time back in time, or was it just like essentially
yeah.
like the wavelengths that they were getting on those televisions and like they were checking all this stuff out and everything, and it was basically saying she was broadcasting her own sitcom essentially.
Yeah, and it's interesting to know, why she doing like why she going through like making a sitcom in different decades.
And she's
And
got people basically like plotted out in the town and like they don't even know that they're there.
now they're like under the control, and that's also brings up the whole thing that even Vision is starting to have suspicions about the whole thing.
I mean, the trailer for the
And
next episode, I don't know if you've seen the episode 6 trailer yet.
each time I see like there's a sneak preview or whatever, I just avoid it and just watch it.
Oh
Like,
mate, I unfortunately saw it, but like honestly, it basically just like it checks all the boxes for what I'm expecting to be.
yeah.
So like I ain't that asked about it.
Although I did see the trailer that she wears her comic book accurate
Mm.
outfit, which is kind of interesting because people are like, why didn't she wear the comic book accurate? I'm like, it's a bit ridiculous. So,
She needs to kind of
um,
I think she kind of needs to be like in tune with her Avengers look, doesn't she?
the funny thing is like somebody mentioned this in on Instagram. There's a scene where she comes to meet the people at Sword,
Mm.
and someone mentioned that it seemed very similar to when Magneto in the first X-Men sees the police, with the armed response, the way they're doing it. And obviously, if you know your comics, Wanda as Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are children of Magneto. So the fact that they made a kind of a reference to that is now kind of like, well, now because obviously the Marvel Studios is part of
Definitely,
Disney,
yeah.
and Disney owns 20th Century Fox, and that's kind of opened up to the fact, obviously they're making their own version of Fantastic Four soon. So it's kind of like, are they kind of slowly kind of referencing that instead of being that Scarlet Witch is a what do they call it? They called it an enhanced in the MCU, but are they going to slowly say you're actually a mutant?
Mm.
So are
It's
they going to
interesting
go in
though
that
because
direction?
there was a scene in episode 5 where it's funny actually, but the actor's name is Catherine Han, but she's known as Nosy Neighbor. She hasn't got an actual name.
Right.
Basically comes round to Wanda and Vision, and like there's a scene where she literally goes, "Oh, did I get my line wrong?" and asks if she could restart.
Yeah,
And that's like that just tells you something is messed up as hell.
that's even Vision is starting to pick up on it, and even by the episode, Vision is like, no, 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 don't put don't roll the credits. Like, I'm not done here. Like, I need to know what the hell is going on. And
And then
obviously,
you got those two kids that became like they were babies at the start of episode
yeah,
4,
they
and then
said
by the
they
end they
said
were
they were babies and they were
kids.
like, children, and then they said you're not allowed to have a dog until you're 10 years old or something, and then they just grew up to be 10 years old.
Mad. And
So
we know that that's Wanda doing that the whole time.
yeah, and then there's even parts where even when some of the people, they deep subconsciously, like even now, because obviously when Vision was at work, and again, spoiler alert, that for those who don't want to know, is skip a few seconds or two. Um, Vision uses his powers to take the mind control out of the person, what that person at work, and he's like saying, "I don't know where I am. I don't know what date it is. I just don't know what is going on. Please help me." And
It's scary.
and it just makes you go like, again, it's this whole Twilight Zone episode where it's just kind of like, you're just constantly questioning like what is going on, and even probably some of the people who have read the comics may know what, because obviously this is a reference to House of M and a Vision comic series where he imagined him having a family,
Mm.
and so it's interesting what they're going to do with that, and obviously where this is going. Because obviously, again, we've got former episodes, which is like 2 hours worth of material we've yet to see.
That is something that I actually would like to make a point of. That the episodes have got longer now, which is good.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, I think the way that they've been doing it is much better than the MCU series on Netflix they've done. Because I think the fact that they were almost an hour long each episode, and there were 13 episodes each season. And my
Yeah,
problem is that I mean the thing is I enjoy the Daredevil series and the Punisher series, and but obviously everyone has their own preferences.
yeah. Jessica Jones was great.
But my problem with with even the good seasons and all that is like the middle part of the seasons, the middle episodes were just filler. And if they
Very
say
dead.
like, yeah, to me, like if they just put it just as 8 episodes,
Mm.
but still keep it an hour long, I think they wouldn't need to fill up as much. And I think
Needless, yeah.
I think with WandaVision, they've done it really well. The fact that they're keeping it like 20 to 30 minutes long, still keeping your interest each time. And it's the same they've done with The Mandalorian,
Mm.
keeping it 30 minutes long, and you're still interested, you're still invested.
To be
And
fair, I
so
didn't even
it's
know that the Mandalorian was only half an hour long.
no, I mean, I think there were maybe a few episodes, like maybe the first episode of the first season is like an hour long or something, but the most part they are like 30
To be
minutes long.
fair, a lot there are American shows that tend to do like a big filler pilot episode, and then like they go back to like a 42-minute episode, or something like that, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about like HBO shows, that tend to be like always an hour long. I mean, there's some series that are like half an hour, but that's like that's like a minority.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm liking how WandaVision is coming, so I'm excited to watch. I mean, obviously, I won't be able to watch it on Friday because I'll be busy filming all
You have
day.
to watch it on Saturday, probably. Yeah.
Probably,
I
yeah.
mean, as far as I'm aware, just looking at Rotten Tomatoes, recently, WandaVision actually is in the top 5 right now of their ratings. If I'm
Oh,
reading it right.
really?
Yeah, I'm just trying to load Rotten Tomatoes website, or Tomatoes, whichever you like.
Tomato,
Tomato.
tomato.
Yeah, I can't get their website to load, but I remember reading that it's
I
that.
did see that they were fresh, so I mean,
Let's have a look. WandaVision Rotten Tomatoes. Here we go. Let's see what it got, because I believe that it's nearly 100%.
yeah, because apparently on the Marvel TV scorecard, it's apparently it's hang on, let's have a look. So it's number 2 at the moment.
On
90
that, yeah.
on Rotten Tomato, it's 93%. So it's done really well. So it's just behind Marvel's Agents of Shield, which is
Oh,
95%. And then
interesting. I think that's probably because the last series was actually pretty good.
yeah, and then third would be Marvel's Daredevil, and then number 4 would be Legion. Then fifth would be Marvel's Luke Cage. Okay,
Ah, interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
I heard about Legion. Legion's a pretty popular show at the minute. Although I don't know if I'm really into the idea of that show, what it's about. But that's for another conversation, obviously.
yeah, exactly.
But
But
yeah,
no,
so the underlining thing we got here, it was basically saying is that WandaVision is actually living up to expectations that we was hoping for and expecting. So how can we
especially
be any more happier right now?
especially the reveal at the very end of the episode really
Mm.
shocked me. I was like literally saying what, like shouting
The
what,
worst
like
part about it was, I think, was the fact that like a lot had happened in that last 5 minutes. That for then that to happen was just like someone was setting off like that someone was setting off a bomb, but then they thought, okay, let's just get loads more bombs and just go for a
yeah,
bigger theatric. It's like the big firework boom at the end, kind of thing.
yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what they're gonna go. Like, are they gonna go to the 90s like next? So
Who
yeah,
knows? But yeah, I'll say we're going to take a very quick break, and then we're going to talk about the Golden Globes, right? Or the
yes,
Academy.
the Golden Globes
The
at the
Golden Globes,
moment.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, back in a moment.
See you in a bit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the final part of this week's episode of What Topic. And we're going to hand over now to Owen to talk about the Golden Globes that just happened recently.
So obviously, the award season has just kick-started with the Golden Globes, and then we had the Screen Actors Guild. But the one I'm going to be talking about, which is probably what people have been talking about, is the various snubs and surprises of the Golden Globes. Two in particular. If you haven't seen them, very like the top. I think the top three films that have been nominated is probably Mank, Nomadland, and I believe Promising Young Woman, I think. But it also made a bit of a change of history, a change of pace, where it has three female directors nominated for Best Director for the Golden Globes, and there's only two male directors have been nominated, which is David Fincher for Mank, and Aaron Sorkin for the Netflix film Trials of the Chicago 7. But yeah, no, it's been an interesting one. But yeah, there's been a few surprises and snubs with that. So the first one I'm probably going to talk about is the brilliant BBC series I May Destroy You, starring and written by Michaela Cole. So that has not been nominated. It got snubbed for Best Limited Series and Best Actress in a Limited Series, which is shocking, quite honestly, because I watched it just because of amazing word of mouth, and also the critics' reviews were just just buzzing. And even when it aired on HBO Max in America, like it also got a lot of recognition for it. And to me it's just baffling to know that the Golden Globes will be more than willing to nominate something like Emily in Paris, which is, from what I can gather, is about a series of an American influencer living in Paris and wants to be liked, when I May Destroy You is dealing with a woman about trauma and something that should be talked about and be normalized about talking about. And I don't know what it is. It's just like, what is it that made the Golden Globes not willing to nominate a film like not a film, sorry, a series like this? It's just so strange. It's just like they want to be inclusive, but they're not willing to give recognition to a serious subject matter as personal as trauma.
Honestly speaking, I think it's really like it's like a backstep, because if you look at like not last year, the year before, like when obviously that mistake happened with La La Land, and obviously La La Land didn't win.
Yeah, it was Moonlight that won Best Picture.
That was a good example of like the right film winning for the right reasons. And as you say, Emily in Paris, like, I haven't watched it, and I've heard people say that it's pretty naff anyway. Like, it's basically just as naff as like The Kissing Booth, and obviously that's a problem on its own.
It also made headlines that the people in Paris were very upset with the depictions of Parisians in the series.
Yeah, I had to say that, yeah.
So the fact that you've basically decided to give a nomination to a series about a woman wanting to be liked and it be an influencer, versus a British TV series that deals with sexual abuse and trauma, it's just baffling. It was seriously, honestly, one of the best shows that I watched last year. Like, I binged it, like, because it's only 30 minutes an episode. And I mean, it's a strange binge, because obviously, the subject matter is very can be very depressing and dark and in certain things, but it's also funny as well. And it's just it's honestly, it just hit the right marks, and the way it ended, it was so absolute complete genius the way it ended.
Yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, and the fact that I heard just not that great reviews with Emily in Paris, and the way I heard that the premise is basically an influencer living in Paris and just wanting to be liked or whatever. I was just like, oh, okay. It just did not interest me
It's tone deaf.
whatsoever. I mean, I can look at that in my own Instagram already. It's like I don't need to watch a series about that. So,
I mean, for me, like, it makes me think of like TV shows that have won awards in the past. Like, I know for a fact The Bodyguard won a lot of awards, didn't it, from BBC?
I that's a good question because that was actually a great
Honestly, I think
series.
that is probably, and people might argue with this, but I think that might be one of the BBC's best TV shows in years. Like, the Night Manager with Tom Hiddleston is definitely up there as well. But I think The Bodyguard hit such a really top note that, like, it was like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next episode. Like, it's so gripping.
Yeah,
It's so,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
like it really like touches you where like you weren't expected to feel. Like, obviously that might sound weird, like saying like that, but it's like a
No,
real gripping thing.
no, but it's I mean, it did win best performance by an actor in a television series in a drama, which went to Richard Madden, which rightfully so.
Mm.
It did get nominated for best television series drama, and then it got nominated for a few Emmys with outstanding drama series, writing for a drama series. Then it won a BAFTA
Mm.
for,
I remember that.
and then it got nominated again. So yeah, it got recognized. So it's just bizarre. Like a series like I May Destroy You just did not get the same recognition with the Golden Globes as it probably did with, say, like Fleabag, which is another great series.
I think maybe what it is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, is that sometimes some TV shows and films, like wherever they're from in the world, like they fall through the cracks, not on purpose, but it majority of the time it is on purpose. I feel like, and as you say, like this instance, a Netflix show, which let's be frank here, obviously I know Netflix shows are now regarded as content that can win awards, which makes sense. Obviously, I'm not disputing that, but I think the thing that's regarded as very like troubling and also almost a bit offensive to people who have watched these shows and know that they're deserving of awards. Like there should be no doubt in that mind. I mean, it's the same situation when La La Land was like set out on stage, and obviously it was meant to be Moonlight, and obviously everyone makes sense. It makes sense because Moonlight was brilliant. And then obviously that Korean movie, what was it called?
Parasite. Yeah.
Parasite. Like even that, like, and it makes you think that like lower budget shows or even maybe higher budget shows that shouldn't, or TV shows, TV shows or movies that shouldn't have been, are winning awards over ones that are making good use of that money and making a very compelling storyline that is gripping and doesn't
It's
win.
more
Like,
impactful, and I mean the thing is, like, with the whole thing with the Oscars, there's always like two films combating each other. So last year was 1917 versus Parasite, and 1917 was basically winning best film at the Golden Globes, the Producers Guild, and the BAFTAs and everywhere. So for the fact that Parasite won at the Oscars was a complete surprise. And right, for, I mean, to be honest, like those two films are equally as brilliant as each other. They're very different to one another, and so it didn't really actually bother me that Parasite won Best Picture.
I mean, I will be fair and say that like maybe the Golden Globes aren't like completely like fucking over like some films when you say about Mank. Obviously Mank won an award, and that makes plenty of sense to me because I went to watch Mank, and actually I forgot to tell you about it. Actually, I went and watched it, and I really enjoyed it. Actually,
Yeah, I
as
mean,
someone who hasn't watched what's that word? What was that one that
Citizen Kane.
was it Citizen Kane? Was it the in Hollywood? What's that one called?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah.
For someone who hasn't watched that, I still managed to understand Mank, which is good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a huge David Fincher fan, so just to watch anything that, I mean, this was a passion project for him because obviously that was his father's screenplay
Mm.
that he wrote, and he's been wanting to make that ever since the late 90s. But apparently, the studio said we don't want to finance a black and white picture, which is like bizarre. Which is like, all
It's
right,
weird, isn't
but
it? Like if you look at like that TV show that's blown up here in the UK, the one about chess, right? If what
oh, the Queen's Gambit, yeah.
that's BBC, isn't it?
Uh,
Or was that Netflix?
it's Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. Sorry, my bad, my bad. But like even
But
that, like that's like a very like
and that's got
niche.
numerous and that's got numerous awards at the
Mm.
Golden Globes and everything else. And yeah, it's just strange that obviously Fleabag made a huge hit both in over here and the US. So the fact that a show like I May Destroy You, only just now I was going to say, like, it did have a slight redeeming part of it. Like it did get nominated for a Screen Actors Guild with Michaela Cole's performance. So it's actually doing something overseas in America, but the fact that it didn't get any nominations at all at the Golden Globes is just it's insulting in a way for me, at least, because I really did think like the show is absolutely brilliant.
It's really shocking, really, because I'm just like looking at here. It's got 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and Rotten Tomatoes gave it 98%. It's in the same realms as WandaVision
It's
here, for example.
it's it's so good. And yeah, but like I said, like wait, this is another reason why I never really take the Golden Globes
Oh no,
seriously.
no.
I've never taken it seriously for a very long time. It's just because people go there to get drunk and make a fool of themselves, and obviously, God bless that Ricky Gervais like has stopped hosting the awards. Whenever he was probably one of the only few reasons to watch the show was when he would take stabs at certain people. And yeah, it's just and another thing that got a surprising nomination, excuse me, when a lot of people were pretty pissed off about, was James Corden getting nominated for his performance in The Prom. And the reason why there's a lot of talk about it is because he was playing a very stereotypical, campy gay man in the series, or it's a film. No, sorry, it's a film for Netflix.
Mm.
And yeah, and people, and especially the gay community, are pretty pissed off because here's the thing. So I actually talked about this with a friend of mine in the States, she's part of that community, the LGBTQ community. And we both had the same perspective. So we don't have anything against straight cis male actors playing gay men. Like, for example, like we used was Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal in Brokeback Mountain. I have nothing against that because that was done in a very respectful, very genuine sort of portrayal of a relationship.
Mm.
Whereas James Corden's performance is simply a mockery of the stereotype of a gay man. And the fact that they gave a Golden Globe nomination is just an absolute joke.
I
And
guess without me, I can't really comment on it because I've not seen the film or I haven't seen enough context of it. But I know for one thing, it's more likely to be the production house's fault than it is James Corden's fault, because James Corden is a really good actor and a really good like overall personality. I have no quarrels with James Corden. Like he has, I think I've got the utmost respect for people like him who went and made it big in the States, and he still calls back to home like all the time. Like he's never left his roots far behind him. So I imagine that his role has just been like really cast with this sort of like bad like cloud and everything like that because of the production house and not so much his acting, because like I don't think his acting is by any stretch of the imagination terrible, because you only have to watch Gavin and Stacey. He is fucking amazing in that show. He wrote that show, he starred in that show, he directed the show. Like there's just the bottom line just really is that I don't think it's his performance which is the issue. I think it's the fact that he got cast and was told to act in that way, and it has basically pissed off people more than his persona himself.
but my problem is that I mean, you are right on some aspects. Like he was directed in a way to portray in such a way, but he also had Some say on the way he could have portrayed it. So he could have told the director, like, this is not the way I want to be perceived, or I don't want to portray this gay character as a campy stereotype. Like,
Mm.
I actually want to portray him as a basically a normal human being. And the fact that he just acted in a way that is mocking the gay community, and and so that is why a lot of people in the gay community, or just in the LGBTQ community, is pretty pissed off the fact that they even said this before he got nominated for a Golden Globe. Like, they just did not like his performance in the prom. And um yeah, I'm gonna have to agree that I'm not a fan of James Corden. I just personally, it's just a personal preference. I just can't stand him. And the fact that he actually, with his power and celebrity, he could have still said, "Look, I get what you're trying to do. I do not want to be viewed as a camp stereotype. I want to make this person as just a normal human being who just so happens to be gay." But he didn't do that. And from what I've seen in the trailers and clips of it, it just looks like just cringeworthy, personally. And I just think the way that the people responded, it just speaks volumes that we need to change that. The fact that if you are going to portray a gay character in a TV show or a film, you need to do it in a very respectful way, or at least it has to match the style and tone that you're looking for, while still not being a mockery or anything that an old, tired, stereotype cliche of things that of a portrayal that we've seen one too many times. And it's just a problem. And the fact that we're still having debates about we should be looking at a proper representation of certain communities. And that's just my take of it. And obviously that's
No,
what
no,
I'm
yeah.
been taking from listening to other people that are in within that demographic. And yeah, and it's just really insulting to him being cast. And I think anyone that I just think anyone who directed it and who people were cast and think it was a good idea should
Well, I guess
really
what
get a
you
slap.
I guess what you're really meaning to say though is that, like, as you've already said, like, I feel like I don't know if you're going to go over your own words when you say this. When you said that, like, it's not an issue for any actor to portray a someone who's maybe gay, lesbian, but it's the way that they go about doing it. So what you're really meaning is that, like, why did they cast him like that? Not as a case that, like, why did he do it, right? Like, why did they cast him like that?
No, I still think it's a mixture of, why did they cast him? Why did they cast that particular actor? And why did he do that? It's a mixture of loads of things that it just, for me, that I just think it's just really a really strange thing. And yeah, so
Yeah, to be honest, I think, like, as I say, I can't really have a full opinion myself because I've not seen the film. I've not really seen any of the trailers for it. And, like, I don't know. It's just like, for me, like, I understand these things happen, and it's unfortunate. And, like, I don't agree with, like, overdoing a role in a position of somebody who isn't gay and is straight. I mean, I get that, like, he has a very quirky personality, which is probably part of the reason why they cast him. Which, fair enough, fair enough. Like, if he acts a bit campy already, then that's fair, okay. But then, like, it's what going one too far, obviously, isn't it? That's the difference.
if they wanted to cast him, they should have just let him be. I mean, I guess that's probably maybe the problem. Like, he could have just been himself and not put this sort of like campy persona, which again, it's just like probably a lot of straight people may not see it, but from reading and listening to what the people in the gay community have been saying, it to them they saying it's just a mockery. And and it just speaks so many volumes when a whole entire community has issues with your representation and portrayal of such characters. and it's the same thing. Like, I have nothing against straight actors playing gay
No, no, no.
characters, or gay actors playing straight characters, because you've got I can't remember the actor's name, but there's the lead actor in Mindhunter who was also in Hamilton,
Hmm.
and he's gay, but he's playing a straight actor. He's been having
At the
having
end
a
of the day, what we're basically saying as like an overarching theme for this, what we're saying is that if you're going to play that part, you need to play it with legitimacy and not like prehistoric expressions of how gay people used to be.
no, and it just makes me think about the representation. Like
Or at
there
least
was a
they used to be portrayed. Sorry, that's the word I'm
well,
looking for.
there was a documentary that I've mentioned to a few people called Disclosure, which is on Netflix. I don't know where if it's showing in America, but it's in UK and on Netflix. It's definitely worth watching because that's a documentary about representation of the trans community. So
Hmm.
where it started, where it was like it was just a laughing stock for men dressing in drag, and then over the years, like it has got better, but it's been very very slow. The
Oh yeah,
fact
you've
that
got like representation of different themes in something like RuPaul's Drag Race in the UK and the US.
yeah.
That's getting better. Obviously, I think those shows are brilliant. I know family members and friends who watch that and are just like embracing that side of people's life. Like if you want to go up and dress like that, fair enough, go for it. Like it's
Yeah, but the fact was like we've had shows in the 2000s, like one in particular where Famke Janssen played a trans woman. I mean, she's a woman, she's a cis woman, playing as a trans woman in the show. And it was portrayed like when the other character finds out that she is was a man, that it's done with such like horror or revelation or just anything negative. So
mm,
the fact that it's taken them a long time to get into a representation where they are casting people in the trans community, like Laverne Cox, for example, from Orange is the New Black. So this is what I mean with the James Corden getting nominated situation, is the fact that you know a lot of critics and a lot of people criticized his performance, and the fact that they gave him a Golden Globe, which probably won't mean anything after a while, but it may not, people may not take it
I know what you
seriously.
mean. It's a chip on
Yeah,
the it's a chip on the shoulder, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, people may not take the Golden Globe seriously. I mean, I don't,
No, me
but
neither.
it still says a lot when you're giving a nomination to a performance that is
Oh
just
no,
insulting.
it's the meaning that the meaningfulness of the awards will start to fade over time, but the overarching offence that they've caused will still ripple for a little bit at least.
And and again, people may say, "Who gives a shit?" But the problem is that that people will may look at it and going, that is what
Oh
people
no, I get
are
you.
giving
Like
nominations for,
it's
and
ignorant to
therefore
ignorance.
we're gonna do we're gonna do the same thing over again. But unfortunately, they're gonna have to make their voices more loud and more
Yeah,
noticeable to say, "We don't accept this. Stop doing it." So
it's ignorant to ignore it.
exactly, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's probably a good place to end. I'll say obviously because it's quite a big topic, it is, and obviously we're already quite far into the episode right now. But obviously for those who are listening to the episode and everything, we'd like to know what you have to think. Like send us a message on Instagram or send us a voice note on the Anchor app. You can, and like you might get into in a future episode. I'll say
Yeah.
it's been a great episode. Talking about quite a lot of different things this episode. I'll say it's probably been quite a long one again. Notorious
Well,
doing that we are.
yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we did the last episode, and I guess it was obviously a mixture of like being on purpose that we left it this
Yeah,
long because again, like I said, we keep saying is like we're locked down, so we kind of let things build up, so we got a lot more to talk about, and
exactly.
obviously, as vaccinations are rolling out, and we'll hopefully soon get out of the lockdown within just in a month's time, that I mean, there's certain few bits and pieces that I'm looking forward to. Like, I mean, I'm not excited about this, but I'm interested to see Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is obviously in America is coming out on HBO Max, but it may potentially come out in Sky over here in the UK. And they released photos of Jared Leto's Joker in the movie, which is interesting. And there's going to be a trailer dropping on Valentine's Day, so that'll be interesting to talk about.
I think there's something that I'm looking forward to that's going to be developed. Like there was a trailer for the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which basically was
yes
of the Mass Effect games.
Yes, I'm really excited for that because I remember I played. I hadn't played the third game, but I did play one and two. So, and I absolutely love. I'm not usually a fan of RPGs because I couldn't really get into Fallout or the Elder Scrolls or anything like that. But I tried to play. But playing Mass Effect, for some reason, I just got really into it.
The storyline was very engaging. I think that's what helps it.
It was sort of like Star Trek meets Star Wars and Babylon 5 and all these great, sci-fi properties rolled into one. Yeah, and for the look of the graphics side of things, it looks great. Like there's a few enhanced. It's not like a remake like Resident Evil 2, for example, but it's more like like I said, it's a remastered version of
Apparently
a great
the graphics are going to be like way better on Mass Effect 1 because obviously Mass Effect 1 will look quite ancient.
Yes, yeah, like because that came out in the PC and Xbox 360, and then obviously the second one came out a few years later, I think. But I'm so excited to get the trilogy because
I believe we're not going to hear now much more though until close to release date, which I think is May.
It's May 16th, I think.
Yeah, it's quite a long way off at the minute. So like, it's exciting, but like as you say, it's not something I'm too excited about yet because it's like a long way off still.
It's kind of like the whole situation. I mean, it's not really that same situation, but it's kind of like waiting for a film you're looking forward to, and you're like, I'm not going to be excited until I know it's definitely going to come out.
No Time to Die.
Or be just disappointed like Cyberpunk. Oh god, yeah. Which, speaking of, apparently the new patch that came out on Cyberpunk is still not playable. It improved certain bits. It's more better on the PlayStation and PC than it is on the Xbox.
Ouch.
Yeah, and so I'm still going to wait for another patch that's supposedly coming out this month.
But yeah.
So yeah.
I'll say, guys, thank you very much for joining us for another episode of the What Topic Podcast. Of course, we have been your hosts, Josh Deakin at Mr. Josh Deakin.
And I'm Owen Burkett at Owen.Burkett.
Until next time, we hope you stay safe, wear your mask, and of course, enjoy all the stuff that's going on at the minute. Like, I mean, we're getting better with content now, so it's, we're roughing it the best we can.
Yeah, we're getting there, so for sure.
Yeah, until next time, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.
See you then.